My mother asked me who I was, and I had lived in that house for 26 years. It was a Tuesday evening. My key still fit the lock, the porch light flickered as always, and dinner was on the stove. I stepped inside and called out, "Mom, I'm home." She turned from the stove and said, very politely, "I'm sorry, do I know you? Who are you?" At the table sat my father, my sister, and a small boy I had never seen. Nobody stood up. My sister pulled the boy close and whispered something to him. I laughed, it had to be a terrible prank. Then my father picked up the carving knife and held it at his side, and my laughter died in my throat. Every face at that table was afraid of me. My mother called the police and told them, calm as anything, that a strange man was in her house claiming to be her son. I didn't wait for the sirens. I ran upstairs, and my room was not my room anymore. The walls were bare. The sheets were ones I had never seen, and the shelf that held my paperbacks now held books I had never read. In the hallway, the family photos showed me as a child, at a graduation, at a wedding I never attended. But every face was wrong. The boy in the photographs had a scar on his left cheek, and I have never had a scar. I was looking at a stranger's whole life, wearing my face. The sirens were close, so I did what I always did as a frightened child. I climbed to the attic and hid behind the old dresser. But the attic was not empty. A man sat in the dark, older than me by a decade, holding a photograph. He had my face. He didn't scream. He didn't lunge. He just sighed and said, "You're 11 years late." I thought they finally got it right. He told me everything, calmly, the way you explain a recipe. In 2015 I died in a car accident on Route 9. I was dead for 3 minutes on the table, and when my heart started again, something else was wearing my body. He was that something. He climbed out of my hospital bed and walked back into my life, and nobody noticed. They accepted him, because he looked like me and remembered everything I remembered. Everything except one memory. He knew he wasn't me. But he had been me for so long that he had started to believe it. Until tonight, when I walked through the front door. I told him he was lying. I was standing right there. I was alive. He shook his head and asked, "Are you?" Then he held up his left hand, the scar from the day I fell off my bike at 9, the scar I have always worn on my right. He had copied it from memory, and memory gets details wrong. He told me they buried me in 2015. He stood at my funeral and watched them lower the coffin. Then he explained why I stood in his attic, invisible to everyone who ever loved me. "You're not lost," he said. "You're dead. You've been dead for 11 years. And dead things can't go home." Downstairs, the family waited at the foot of the stairs. My mother was crying, not from fear. From grief. She looked at me, through me, and whispered, "We buried you 11 years ago." I reached out to her, and my hand passed through her arm like smoke. The thing that wore my face stood beside her and said, "I'm sorry. They told me that if I buried the box at the crossroads, you'd stay gone. I did it. But the box was empty when I closed the lid." Something cold traced my spine. "The box was empty," I repeated. He nodded. "Which means whatever came back for you tonight, it isn't you." Behind him, in the black window glass, a third reflection smiled. Same face. Same smile. Mine. I don't remember what happened after that. I only know that when I opened my eyes I was sitting in my car on Route 9, the radio playing a song from 2015. My hands were on the wheel. My heart was beating. In the rearview mirror, the back seat was empty almost. A voice, my own voice, soft and patient, came from behind me, third time's the charm. If you want to know what was in that box, and what has been following me through every life I try to live, subscribe to Midnight Vale. The next story starts where this one ends.